Coming up on podcast 1367, Tesla have been on a massive hiring spree last year, and it might still be going on. Want to work there? I reckon you got a pretty good chance. Stick around, I'll tell you more. Also on the podcast today, more free charging, this time for BMW and Electrify America users. Also Tesla offering more free supercharging, but where and when, I'll let you know. And Volvo Cars and Northvolts are building a new battery plant in Sweden that could power 500,000 vehicles a year. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Wherever you're listening around the world, welcome to EV News Daily. For Monday, 7th of Feb, my name is Martin Lee, and it's my job to go through every EV story, so you don't have to. Let's start with that huge story about Tesla just breaking their employment records. Last year, hiring more than 28,000 full-time employees. They had a regulatory filing out today which shows the extent of their hiring spree. A new 28,533 employees last year alone. It doesn't say where. If it does, I haven't got to that bit of the document. It's weighty, I'll give you that. It's a regulatory filing. But this is a worldwide figure, boosting their workforce by 40.3% over the course of the year. And it's 99,290 people now work at Tesla. Hey, we're friends. Let's call it 100,000 people now work at Tesla, up from 71,000-ish at the end of 2020. And how does that compare to its competitors? Well, GM have about 157,000 total of hourly and salaried, and Ford have about 183,000 employees, down 1.6% from year on year. Having a look at Tesla's 10K, they say our full-time count for our subsidiaries' employees worldwide was 99,290. To date, we have not experienced any work stoppages as a result of labour disputes, and we consider our relationship with our employees to be good. Our key human capital objectives in managing our business include attracting, developing and retaining top talent while integrating diversity, equity and inclusion principles and practices into our core values. Yeah, last year there's some pretty high profile cases, though they're ongoing as well, that would be in opposition, I guess, to their aims at least. In the first quarter last year, they also made that big Bitcoin investment. So how's it gone? Is anyone making money out of Bitcoin? Well, it turns out Elon Musk is pretty good at it, because they bought $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin. The fair market value of that holding is now around $2 billion. They say, we believe in the long-term potential of digital assets, both as an investment and also as a liquid alternative to cash. Tesla holding $2 billion worth of Bitcoin, say CNBC, after briefly accepting it as a payment option, but stopping in May because they suddenly realized, hang on, environmental concerns, etc. Okay, one of the weirder moments of Tesla last year, one of many weird moments, which was, hey, we're taking Bitcoin. Short pause. No, we're not taking Bitcoin. It's really, really bad for the planet. When it's less dirty, we'll accept it again. They haven't said never say never, of course, so they may well accept Bitcoin again to buy your new car with. The drop in value of Bitcoin shouldn't affect earnings as long as Tesla hasn't divested of any of its holdings. I'll pop a link to CNBC in the show notes so you can read more. Less good news for them. Tesla receiving a subpoena from the US Securities and Exchange Commission. News coming out today about that, and all to do with Elon's tweeting back in 2018, taking Tesla private, still coming back to bite him on the bum. The SEC issued this subpoena on November 16th, seeking information about how Tesla do their governance processes and compliance with the settlement reached with the agency back in 2018. Well, 10 days before they issued their subpoena, that was the time, if you remember, when Elon Musk was setting up Twitter polls saying, should he sell 10% of his stake? And in the two trading days after that, it did plunge about 16%. So I don't know, maybe I'm 2 and 2 equals 5, but you join the dots. The timing is pretty coincidental, right? Elon Musk's lawyers, though, saying in a court filing that tweet was entirely truthful. That's the phrase, entirely truthful, because shareholders are claiming in a class action suit that's pending that it cost them billions of dollars in losses. They're seeking a judge's ruling ahead of the trial. The trial starts May 31st. I'll pop a link to law.com in the show notes so you can read more on that. But some very good news. Tesla offering free supercharging. Where and when? Well, until now, they've offered it in the US and often in the wake of natural disasters, always doing the right thing. Sometimes discounting supercharging so that it time shifts people's usage of that resource. This time, for the first time that I'm aware of, it is going to be in Europe, 4 European countries, for the winter holiday season, of which I wasn't aware there was one. I mean, France is only over there a bit. I didn't know they had holidays in February and March. We don't. I'd quite like them. Owners can plug in at 79 different supercharging stations in Germany, Sweden, France and Norway, but these aren't the ones that they've opened up for the trial of non-Teslas using. So, hey, calm down, cheapskates, before you take your non-Tesla to charge for free. Those ones aren't included. France, Germany, Norway and Sweden as well in February and March. Specific dates, so check before you charge if you're expecting them to be free. Now, Electrify America and BMW of North America announcing today a new agreement for BMW EV customers to get 2 years worth of free charging at EA, their 30-minute complimentary charging sessions. Buy yourself a new iX or i4. And if you do, get the i4 M50 because that's a stellar car from March, and you get, with no additional cost, free charging for 2 years, 3,000 EA stations. Maybe you haven't got your home charger sorted. Maybe you do a lot of road trips and that's a deal breaker for you. That's a great announcement. Right, coming up on the podcast very soon. Leave us turned on because we're going to be talking about battery recycling and redesigning that bit on the front of a Rolls-Royce to make it a bit more slippery on their future EV. Stick around, those stories are coming up. Now, let's talk Volvo and Northvolts, selecting Sweden, Gothenburg actually, for their new joint venture. A new battery cell production facility goes into operation 2025. It's going to have 3,000 jobs created, and it will complement the R&D centre that both companies announced last December. $30 billion of 30 billion Swedish krona of investment. Careful. The new plant and the ties with Northvolt also strengthen their partnership as Volvo goes all EV by 2030. Construction starts next year. And all the press release says is producing state-of-the-art battery cells. I don't know what form factor, I don't know what chemistry. I'll certainly be on the lookout for that information. Total annual cell production capacity up to 50 gigawatt hours. These things always ramp, but they say they're aiming to make about 500,000 cars a year from this facility. Until then, they will be using cells from another Northvolt facility, by the way. And Volvo actually appointing a former Tesla executive. His name is Adrian Clark, and it's his job to drive forward that joint venture company. As part of this announcement today, the R&D centre is the first step in a £2.5 billion strategy to build batteries for their future EVs for Volvo and Polestar as well. Initially, they'll source 15 gigawatt hours of batteries from their existing facility, and which is in Skellefteå, I think is how I say it. That's going to be for cars like the new XC60 EV, which will be launched very soon, and then they'll have their own dedicated gigafactory as well. Talking about batteries and recycling, Glencore and BRITISHVOLT, the startup, forming a recycling joint venture. They're going to have a new factory in the UK, just east of London, to recycle old consumer goods, but also some of the materials from the BRITISHVOLT gigafactory. I'm guessing those that weren't used or those that are needing to be recycled. Opens in 2023, 10,000 tons of lithium-ion batteries a year recycled, like I say, just in that new facility near the Thames or the estuary near London. Of course, that's nowhere near where the BRITISHVOLT gigafactory is going to be, but still, we're a pretty small country. You can move stuff around pretty easily. It's also a deal announced last year for BRITISHVOLT to have a cobalt purchasing agreement from that mining company. A link to ELECTRIFY in the show notes so you can read more. Now, Rivian with their Amazon delivery vans. We've now got some, at least it's news to me, names of what they're going to be called. They are not called the Amazon vans, they are the EDVs, electric delivery vans. And thanks to the IPO documents, we now know they're called the EDV 500, 700 and 900. And it's all to do with their storage. The EDV 500 is 500 cubic feet of capacity. 150 miles of range on that one. Same for the 700, same range. And for the 900, a lot more storage, a lot bigger, a lot longer, 120 miles. So that would, I would assume, the same battery pack going into those vehicles. Bigger vehicle, heavier, less range, I'm guessing. Not confirmed, though. Link to AUTOEVOLUTION in the show notes so you can read more. Talking of delivery vans, an adjacent story. The US Postal Service last week, the subject of news because they're buying a ton of new combustion vehicles, saying yesterday, on Sunday, they have plans for an initial order of 5,000 electric delivery vans. This sounds like getting out ahead of the news, or rather, the news broke last week and they're trying to do some damage limitation. So they say that they are committed to being responsible in the rollout of EV vans. On February last year, they announced the deal with the defense company, Oshkosh, who don't really make EVs at the moment. I mean, good at making vehicles, the defense company, but still. Anyway, they said at the time that the new delivery van from Oshkosh would drive a dramatic modernization of the fleet, because a lot of those vehicles are like 30 years old. If they buy a new van, they'll be on the road for 30 years. And as we also found out, they're also planning to spend $11.3 billion on up to 165,000 new gas-powered vans. So, 5,000 EVs, big press release, big noise, 165,000 gas-powered vans, which could be on the road, like I say, for 25, 30 years. Well, that big headline sounds like greenwashing to me, because they should be all EVs. What are you doing? Anyway, it gets political as well. And so we'll leave that story, alone. GM, a little bit of wash up from last week. They had their earnings call, and something I think I missed this. The GM Authority website pointing out that I thought the Equinox was going to be the entry-level car, around 30 grand, but Mary Barra saying, and I'd missed that turn of phrase, that there'll be a car under the Equinox. So this could well be the replacement to the Bolt, because, that's going to be on the market at the end of 2023. That's a year and a half of Bolt production and the EUV production left. Fabulous little vehicle. If you can get some dealer deals, you'll have a great EV. Obviously based on the old BEV2 platform. Obviously a 65 kilowatt hour battery using outgoing technology, but still a great car. And like I say, get yourself a deal. And it's a fantastic EV on your driveway. But yeah, something underneath that, which could well be the new Bolt. Just don't call it the new Bolt. I doubt they'll call it the Bolt because of all the fires and, reputational damage, etc. A company that I don't think has any problems with reputation is Rolls-Royce. And they clearly have a bit of free time at Rolls-Royce because they've spent an ungodly amount of time redesigning that thing at the end of the bonnet. Now, she's called the Spirit of Ecstasy, if you didn't know. And in the world of electric cars, obviously aerodynamics are king, so they say that they are redesigning her to be more aerodynamic. Okay, well, I mean, most Rolls-Royces are a barge anyway, so start with making their EV, called the Spectre, by the way, their first EV. Make that aerodynamic, and don't worry about what she looks like on the bonnet. But no, they said we need to design her for an EV future, to be more aerodynamic. She is standing with her legs, so instead of standing with her legs straight, says AUTOBLOG, tilting at the waist and feet together, the new ornament is braced for the wind, with one leg forward. All right, I'm braced for the wind. Stop it. One leg forward, body tucked low. They spent 830 hours designing this and in the wind tunnel, design modelling, wind tunnel testing. But hey, I guess any little bit of extra aero helps eke out a bit more range. Probably a good thing. Now, EVs, more seriously, EVs are bringing down CO2 emissions of new cars in the UK to its lowest ever level, says the Guardian newspaper. Carbon dioxide emissions of new cars sold in the UK dropped to their lowest levels by 11%, a drop last year, year on year. Now 119.7 grams of CO2 per kilometre driven, according to a new bit of data coming out. Now, BEVs, battery electric vehicles, were 12% of our market last year. The European market was 19%. In December, it was 30% pure battery electric. But still, here we're 12% over the year. And even then, you think about how long vehicles stay on the road for. Of the 40 million cars we have on UK roads, 1.3% are battery electric or even plug-in. That is the plug socket number. So as I think Elon Musk has said this, I'll paraphrase him no doubt, many times over the years, every car company in the world could pivot to selling only EVs immediately overnight. And it's going to take 30 years to get cars that are rolling off dealer lots today to get them off the road, because cars are more reliable, lasting longer. The embedded fleet doesn't change overnight, and that's an example of that. But brilliant news that CO2 is indeed coming down. Well, thank you very much for watching our YouTube show today and for getting all the way to the end. You deserve a gold medal. And if you want to support this show, you absolutely can do on Patreon, patreon.com/evnewsdaily. It's how we fund the show and get it on the air every day. You can check out the audio version of the show on Apple, Google, Spotify. Hey, I'm on Spotify too, just like Joe Rogan, although we're not best buds. You can subscribe for free and get me in your ears, as well as a treat for your eyes. And thank you for watching. And I'll catch you tomorrow.